Welcome back, fellow Reds and all football fans. Kindly subscribe if you're new here. It begins. Reports coming out from France saying Manchester United are now in negotiations for Jonathan David. They're in for him, but they're not the only club. What will Jonathan David bring to Manchester United? What is the latest in regards to that transfer? He's been linked to us a bit. And with a lot of the other players we've been linked to maybe wanting Champions League football, which we can't guarantee yet, or being, expensive or not wanting Manchester United, Jonathan David on a free could be a possibility. And when he's in the form, he's in and he's available for free. And you could argue you're not need at least 2 attacking reinforcements as well in the summer. Now this could be a move that Manchester United is seriously in for. Let's talk about Jonathan David. Manchester United, Arsenal and Spurs are currently in active negotiations to sign Lille's Jonathan David on a free transfer in the summer, coming out from the 10th Sport. Now this is not the only source of information to confirm Jonathan David is a player of interest to Manchester United. We've been linked to him on many occasions, and as I said in my intro, when a player who is scoring his 23 goals this season and is 25 years of age, that is pretty athletically good and ticks a lot of Manchester United's boxes, is available for free, and we're talking about not having loads of money, then of course Manchester United are going to have show some interest in Jonathan David. Now with Jonathan David, I think he's a good player. I think the season he's been absolutely fantastic, and I watched him in the Champions League has been fantastic. If you'd have said it back last summer, I'd have said yeah, I like Jonathan David, but there's better options out there. But the last 3 or 4 games I've watched them and bring, especially when he's around for free. He's probably not the first choice on my list of strikers. Jokers would be my first choice. But from what I have seen of him in this season, he's been really, really good. Now Arsenal are interested, Tottenham are interested. Chelsea will probably be in there. Now I think Arsenal are going to focus on Sesko. Tottenham have Solanke, so they're not as desperate as us until might sign permanently. I do think us sort of being desperate for a striker and that being known, and I think weirdly we have a bigger pool than Spurs. I think Arsenal will look more at Sesko. I think there's a possibility there. Now the one thing I know about Jonathan David, he's a big Barcelona fan. So if Barcelona shows some interest, we're not going to beat Barcelona. Jonathan David, he's always been a Barcelona fan. That is always his dream club. So that could be one to watch. But what would Jonathan David bring to United? As I said, is available and free, saves money, and you could then spend 60 to 70 plus million on someone. He scores goals as well. 23 goals this season. We need a goal scorer. He scores goals, versatile, good players at 10 if needed, plays second strike, plays attack and infielder, and has the ability to drop deep. He can run him behind. He can hold up play. He has the ability to drop deep. He's not a one-trick pony, and we need some a bit versatility and adaptability where we're at, but we also need that player to have the ability to score goals. Circus has got versatility, adaptability, but he lacks that pace in the transition, and he's not a natural goal scorer. Jonathan David has that pace, and is a natural goal scorer. He's probably not as techie as Xerxes in tight spaces, because nobody is. Xerxes brilliant at that, but you know what I mean? He's got the pace to run him behind to dribble well. He's a good finisher, seems to be clinical, is a good age. I've said I don't want 21-year-old strikers. I think 25 is a good age for a striker because they're sort of getting into their prime. They're confident in scoring goals, and he'll be off the back of maybe a 30-goal season, and positionally very strong as well. Sometimes criticize Højlund for maybe not getting into the right positions, but I think positionally Jonathan David seems to do well, and you can see this with his Champions League ratings. You've got again this game against Dortmund where he scored, and then you're talking about sort of the actual game against Feyenoord, Liverpool. Strom obviously I didn't watch that one, but three assists in that game. He was unbelievable in the Champions League. I'm not going to act like I've watched loads of league games, but I've watched the Champions League games, and the 3 games I've watched him play in the Champions League have been impressive, and as I said, 23 goals. 10 assists by 33 goal contributions in 41 games. He's on track for a 30-goal contribution season. As I said, I've said maybe 3 or 4 of his games in the Champions League. Been incredibly impressive lately.